because most pitches there's no actual build up, and then there's no clear path of how everything is going to work out, because usually it's price and numbers are talked up front, not allowing us to describe the benefits and the clear path, right? Mm-hmm. So if we take those components of the typical pitch being price and fees, and then benefits, and then the clear path of like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get the documents, we're going to go through processing, underwriting, right? We'll get done in like 30 days. You're going to defer a mortgage payment, etc. If we can just switch those components and put price and fees at the very end, and then open up with benefits, and then the clear path, and then the price.
I'm going to write that down. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So benefits. High app ratio, but then half of the people won't return my calls, and then the other half that I do talk to complain: A, closing costs are too high. I told you I wanted no closing costs. B, it's way higher than the current interest rate. Or 3, you know what, no, I want a home equity line. Those are my main objections, and I really don't even know how to stumble against any of them.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I mean, you sum it up where, you know, it's always going to be evolving around like rate and fees, right? Mm-hmm. It's a matter of understanding where they're coming from first and foremost, and it also depends on when their initial objections happen with regards to rate and fees, right? And
most of the time they're on the first call.
Is it on the first call?
Yeah.
Okay. So then it depends on when in the conversation. So if it happens before we are able to discover their real motive, then it leaves us in position where we could lose, right? Because we don't yet have enough leverage as to, well, why they should consider learning more. And what I found work is that when you can creatively take away the attention from rate and fees and really more about whether or not we can even write a loan for them, right? Where you're offering a different offer from everyone else. Everyone else, like our competitors, they're all about, yeah, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, right? And so this is what they're experiencing with people outside of our realm, right? Like other outfits. And if you think about it, right, that's usually how, like if you were to call a competitor, you know, the loan officer would be giving you the notion that they can do it, right? And then even ask you to do, let's say, get documents in or what have you. When it gets to that point and you're dealing with someone who truly qualifies, then they're always going to be in a position, well, I wonder what they can do, right? So that's the actual true objection that we need to kind of handle up front in the beginning. And so like the training that I did for Gates of the Sale, it was really all about driving the conversation, right? And the real reason why you want to drive the conversation is because you want to uncover their motives. You really want to kind of quickly figure out kind of like a funnel technique to expose their true why, right? Their real motive. And so, for example, let me give you an example. So if I were to bring on a lead, and you know, I even had the strong sales script and everything, and I started driving. If that person asked me about rate and fees after I've already gathered certain information, like they need to create savings because maybe they're in a couple $100 a month deficit, ex-wife may have lost her overtime, they're having a new kid, right? These are things that I'm going to uncover if I time them right and I strategically place my questions. And so if they ask me about rate and fees at that point, I'm at a stronger position to defend myself, right? Mm-hmm. And so if usually what we're going to find out, and the truth of the matter is that there will be some prospects who literally qualify for the absolute best, and those typically aren't going to be the ones that we could deal with, right? Because they're already at 3.25 on a 30-year fix, right? Mm-hmm. And so if I were to have, let's say, Jim Jones give me a call and he's at a 780 FICO and he's got 40% equity, he's got a $400,000 loan amount, right? Like we're like, ooh, yeah, you know, yeah. And income's strong, but he's just looking for a lower payment. And so I would still talk to him even if I figured those questions out, because then I would ask him about future goals, right? Like, well, do you plan on being in this house long term, or is this going to be kind of a stepping stone home? And so there's different ways you could position yourself.
Okay.
Even if Jim Jones with the great credit is asking, well, I got 3.25, can you beat it? Well, let me go and find out. Let me go and send you what we got, right? And so now it's addressing his question, but at the same time giving me back control of the conversation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if they have the audacity to believe that it's available, let's take advantage of that, right?
Okay.
Because they have no idea what's going on ultimately, right?
Right.
And so it gives us an opportunity to kind of dismantle their current financial situation. That is the true motive as to why these people buy. It's not really rate, it's not really fees. They're trained to be concerned about those things. But as long as we have a logical explanation or way to resolve that, right? Whether it's like, oh well, you're gonna defer your payment, your closing costs are $3,000. I'll waive the lender fee. Your skip payment will technically cover the rest. Right, and so I'm not necessarily closing on the full closing costs, right? I can actually divvy it up and pay half. But with that individual, let's say their closing cost was 3 G's, and maximum I was able to get was 1,500. Well, initially I'm going to think that I'm falling short, right? Like, this person's not going to buy from me. But I could position myself properly and say, you know what? I can get you, let's say, the next quarter up on the interest rate. I can get you no closing costs, and your total payment will be at that next interest rate. Or I can get you probably no appraisal fee, right? Maybe lender credit of $450, and your payment will be this. I'll never discuss the rate unless they ask me, because I want the very first thing that they hear is the payment. Because when they hear the payment, they accept the payment. Like, oh, okay, I like that one.
Yeah.
Right, and then tell them the rate. So you're framing them to accept the benefit and almost experience it for a split second.
Yeah.
Right, and then tell them the interest rate. It's a little bit easier to digest if they've logically reasoned it out in their own head. And then we want to take leverage of that and say, okay, well, I thought you'd say that, so I'm going to go and release it out this way. And so now they feel like they designed it, right? It's not a sale. It's that they chose it.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
That's what creates the loyalty.
Wow.
And then, but going back to that example, let's say Jim Jones has the best credit, and he was looking for a no closer, but the maximum I can do is 1,500. Then I'm going to tell Jim Jones that I will fight to get 450, fill him out on that number, right? And then see if I can tell him on payment. If he's still balking about the closing costs, then I'm going to say, I got an idea, Jim. Let's go ahead and get me a full file. If I bring this to my manager, the only thing he's going to ask me is if we have a full file. And I'm going to need to validate your ability to proceed, because he's probably not going to give us any longer than 30 days. So I got to move pretty quick. Fortunately for you, it's going to be a breeze, right? It's going to be very fast, not going to be a 2-month journey, probably like your past refinances. And they're going to remember those past refinances, right? And we're making it easier for them to join us. And say, because we're a direct servicer to the exact source, we're kind of a clear channel. And so we're more or less kind of a fast track to the source. So the process is going to be very quick. It's going to be very effortless, if you will. You'll always be kept up to speed, and I'll be your only point of contact. So you're not talking to 9 different people with New American Funding.
Gosh, yeah, and all of that you addressed closing costs, sold yourself, and NAF again.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And so if I get the full file from him, then I know I can bring it up to my manager and then demand higher than 1,500. Because I was always approved for 1,500. I never let him know, right? And so even if I get 1,500 to 2,100, then I'm gonna flip it back to him and say, hey, guess what? I got the appraisal and the lender fee waived. Right now it's more stronger. Now it's easier to digest because I got the full file. It's like, all right, fuck it, let's go. Let's do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's usually how we attack it. But we have to figure out how much it means to them to handle the result, right? So people pay extra for convenience, for courtesy, to remove pain, right? This is why people pay $30 extra to DoorDash to order food, because they don't want to go through the pain of traffic or sitting down in a restaurant, right? People will pay extra for convenience.
Yeah.
Right, and so when you make the experience convenient to them, where it's already mapped out in the solution, because most pitches there's no actual build up, and then there's no clear path of how everything is going to work out. Because usually it's price and numbers are talked up front, not allowing us to describe the benefits and the clear path, right? So if we take those components of the typical pitch being price and fees, and then benefits, and then the clear path of like, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna get the documents, we're gonna go through processing, underwriting, right? We'll get done in like 30 days, you're gonna defer a mortgage payment, etc. If we can just switch those components and put price and fees at the very end, and then open up with benefits, and then the clear path, and then the price.
I need to write that down. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So benefits, clear path, and then price. Okay.
Stronger effect.
Yeah.
Because it is the last thing that they're focused on, right? So now the question is, well, how do I get Jim Jones to stop asking me about the damn rate and payment, right? and what I found is that by using that objection, it allows me to sell the company, right? And so I'm gonna tell Jim Jones, if he ever asks me, he's like, hey man, I just need to know, can you beat 3 1/4 or not? He's like, yeah, I'm actually gonna show you how. And whether I show him a 10-year at the end of the day, right, on a 3 1/4, that's for me to know. I'm not gonna try and pitch him right then and there, because I'll say, yeah, you know what, I was able to get you 3 1/4, but that's gonna be a 10-year fixed rate. This is the payment on that, right? And but okay, I don't want that shit no more. But I got him the 3 1/4.
Right.
So I'm not necessarily misleading him.
Right.
Right. And then I'll if he was really stuck on the interest rate, maybe I'll open up the conversation that way and say, hey, you know what, you'd mentioned it was important to save money, to pay this house off by this amount, to pay off this debt, you know, and you'd mentioned that you're interested in a 10-year, the 3 1/4% interest rate. But looking at this particular option, I want to run this by you. This is the idea that I have. I can actually take your total payment and drop it down to here. And what this will do is it'll give you enough momentum and monthly savings with the payment deferral, the escrow refunds, to wipe out all the smaller credit card debt. And so now I'm going to actually add another $250 on top of your payment. So I wanted to get your idea and your feedback, because this is going to leave about $6,000 inside your checking and savings. You had mentioned in the first call that you only had $100. So $6,000, actually having 3 months of living expenses, this is going to give you a nice cushion. And by paying off these debts, if you so choose, the way it's set up here and my idea that I want to run by you, it'll help position you to boost your FICO score so that in the next 6 to 12 months, as your FICO improves and as your savings account improves, we'll position ourselves to actually shorten the term.
Wow.
And so if you've only been in this house for a year, I'm going to show you how to get this house paid off in 20. Now you're building the big picture.
Big picture.
Right? And it was like, I want that fucking plan.
Yeah, like,
you see what I'm saying? Yeah,
good.
I want this guy.
Everything you're saying sounds good.
That's what will make you stand out from the rest, is because you outlined a path. You outlined a clear path, while at the same time making it convenient to choose that path because of all the reward they're going to get.
Yeah.
$6,000 in the bank,
Correct.
$400 monthly savings,
Growing
FICO score
savings.
improvement. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And so even if I came down at like 4.875, no appraisal, right? So 4.875 to this person who has a 3.5 interest rate, my sale is going to be based on the bigger picture, right? And say, yeah, absolutely, you have 3.5% interest rate, but you also have these credit card debts. You also have $100 in the bank, right? The interest rate is not really doing anything for you besides keeping you stuck underwater. I'm going to show you how to get out of it.
That was really good. Wait, can I?
Yeah. So you want to, of course, make it your own, right? Like
Yeah.
Jocelyn was a good example, because her attitude, it's very attracting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just her tonality. It's naturally, I think she just do amazing on phone calls to get trust, and but she had an issue with talking about interest rate.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that is because it was foreign to her. So if we just understand kind of the logic behind it, the process, because it's a system. That's all it is. It's a system to complement the system here at NAF. NAF has an organized system, right? So intake hits the CSR hits the loan officer hits the LOA. Well, you'll soon have an LOA. And then ultimately goes to PA, and then processing, and then underwriting. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it
it's the
goes through
system.
this organized system.
Mm-hmm.
And so the goal as a loan officer is to say, okay, well, how can I maximize the efficiency of the system that's already in place and made us a multi-billion-dollar powerhouse? Because I'm not going to fuck with the system. Does that make sense? I'm going to have my different views about the system. I wish I could do this, but I'm just going to let the system be. And how do I create my own system so that I can infuse it into the system here. In other words, how can I do my set goals or my duties to where I can confidently hand the baton and it just flows through the system. And so this is where experience is going to come into play, right? And experience of things that you may have not gone through yet, like bite backs on DTI or hero loans popping up, right? And so those are just unfortunately the kind of the snags that you have to hit. But it's important that when you hit them, don't look at it as failure. Just look at it as a learning curve, because of that experience, you're now going to save yourself time, right? You're going to save yourself money as long as you take from it the lesson. Just like any call, like any time that you ever got shot down because of rate and fees, really analyze the system that you put in place, right? Like your current system, an example of a system could be, when I answer my intake calls, like, like, hey, Kendra, thank you so much for holding. My name is Daniel, right? There's a system to drive the phone conversation. And so there's a system of words. And when you run the system so many times, the system is just going to happen automatically. It's going to happen in the background, right? And sometimes the biggest strength that we can give ourselves is actually listening to the individual. But not only that, but it just kind of being in their shoes to where you understand their environment, right? So it's a matter of talking about certain shit when they're running errands at a grocery store and their full focus isn't on you. Probably not a good time to talk about numbers and fees, right?
Right.
But you can make the small talk and talk about shit he knows about, like, well, what's your gross income look like? And things like that. But when negotiating, you shouldn't do it unless you can hear that they're in a place to do it. So timing of uncovering the cost of doing business is important, the timing of it. And that's why I'm saying, place the points and fees at the very end of the conversation. Yeah. Makes sense?
I'm pretty good at, still apping people even though they want a home equity line, because I'm like, I'm going to get you a cash out. But sometimes I can't fight against they don't have closing costs and we do. And it's, again, the closing cost thing between the home equity line. How do you find that objective?
Sure. So it really does matter on whether or not they need the cash immediately.
Okay.
Right? So if they're just like, hey, I want 60 grand to keep in the bank as a cushion, then I'm going to find out, well, why do you need 60 grand? What are you planning for? Armageddon? Right? Like, I need to know his mental state.
Okay.
Right? His kind of like his rhyme and reason. And so if he wanted 60 grand because he knew that he had to take in his dying mother, for example, right? And that's just cushion, then I'm going to kind of teeter that pitch off that. So in other words, you wouldn't want to have a credit card against your house at an adjustable rate at a point where the market is increasing and expected to continue increasing. Right?
Yeah.
So what we can do alternatively, I could show you an option where it doesn't have any cost, but see, that's a little bit different from my delivery because I don't talk about costs in that way. Does that make sense? So if in the event they bring up costs, it's already after they know the benefit. So I've already talked them into doing a cash out because of the way I deliver it. And so in other words, when I do my second call, I'm doing it based on disclosures. It's not a pitch because I'm catching them off guard, right? And so when I give them a call, I'm gonna say, hey, Kendra, I got those disclosures ready for you. I was gonna send it out, but you know what? I got a quick question. I wanna run it by you. I have an idea. It's always the idea. And the reason why you open it that way is because it piques their interest and they're off guard.
Yeah.
They're not saying, hey, I got some options. Whoa, all right, well, fuck, all right, let me see. Option number 1, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of setting up the mood. And so, if you say, hey, Kendra, I had an idea. I want to run it by you real quick. I was sending out the disclosures for this home equity line of credit, but I saw something. I want to run it by you. I did the comp research on your neighborhood. I did confirm that the estimated value is there. You know what? Considering that the use of the cash out was meant for this, and this, I saw the upside, and so I made a couple notes. I want to verify we're on the same page, right? So with this cash out, you're able to do A, B, and C, and then you kind of reframe them, right? Get them back into the I want, because that conversation may not happen back to back, right? And so you kind of want to remind them that you did listen and that now you have kind of a roadmap of how to complete those objectives, right? But more importantly, you're reaffirming that they're in a point of need. and say, because you had mentioned that and the fact that you want to own this house long term, I put together an option that's actually going to put you on a fixed interest rate. It's not going to be adjustable like this equity line. It doesn't compound interest like a credit card. Here's the best thing is that it doesn't have a max rate of 18%. It's actually a fixed interest rate, and I want to run this by you because you mentioned that A, B, and C was so important. And the fact that you're going to be here long term, this positions you to actually pay this house off faster. And so here's my idea, is that I could show you how to put a year's worth of living expense. I could show you how to put X amount of dollars in your bank, pay off all your debt, right? Whatever goal that he needs to cash out for. But see, that's different where if he didn't need the cash immediately, right? Like I just need a line of credit with 60 grand just in case I use it. Then it's harder to sell him. Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna give that guy as much time as if the person called in and they already have a problem that they need to solve.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in other words, the one who just wants a line of credit, just kind of as a safety net, there's no fire, right? But whereas the one that we could sell is the one that has a burn, there's a fire, there's pain, there's, you know what I mean, that we can fix real quick. And regardless of the rate and the fees, as long as you can understand that their buying decision is going to be based on emotion. That's it. It's always going to be based on emotion, but then it's going to be justified through logic, and that's why we paint out a simple, clear path. So we hit them up with emotion first, show them the clear path, and say, if you walk through this door, you get all these good stuff, right? So all you got to do is walk through that door. Okay, cool. Let's walk through that door. I thought you say that, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to get your documents. I'm going to validate, make sure we have a bridge across. Once I confirm that we do, I'm going to go and have an appraiser come out to you, or even if in the event got a PIW, say, you know what, because my relationship's so strong, I don't even need an appraisal on the house. It's going to be super quick, right? And now it's just stronger. It's like, fuck, this makes so much sense. Now you're just like, okay, so I need these documents by tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we're going to lose our reservation. I can reserve it right now, but it doesn't mean anything because I haven't validated your ability to proceed. Once I confirm that we can proceed, which if you want, I can reserve it right now, but I'll need your documents by tomorrow morning. And if I can get your documents by tomorrow morning, we could start right now. Your first payment's not going to be due until May 1st, right? And so you're kind of painting out the picture, make it very simple. I'm sorry, June 1st. And so you're making it easy for them to walk through the door, right? And then once they walk through the door, that's the commitment, that's the sale. It's not saying, okay, which option do you want to go? Is it okay if we proceed? Right?
Yeah, no, that's horrible.
Right. And so now the lock script becomes a reservation. And so when you record your lock script, you're saying at the very end, hey, just want to confirm I don't have your documents yet. And now you're making it legit, right? Like, oh fuck, they got me on a recorded line, you know, saying, hey, so I just want to assure you, we're gonna go ahead and reserve this. It's gonna expire by tomorrow. I just want to confirm again, you're gonna have the documents by tomorrow, right? Yes. Okay, let me go ahead and end that recording. Thank you so much. Now it's like, fuck, I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta deliver. Yeah. And so now you're using something that should be a grind to your benefit, just like disclosures. You know, if you send them out a disclosure packet and they're not responding, then you're not attached to them emotionally, right? Or if you send them a disclosure packet and they do it right away, it means they want to see it. Like you have the anticipation built up. Make sense?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, lining them up in terms of understanding the rate and fee game, but you kind of just have to ride the wave. And so whatever they ask you up front, just be like, yeah, absolutely, let me go ahead and send that out to you. It's going to go to your Gmail account. Okay, perfect. Let me confirm real quick just to make sure the information I apply is accurate or I send to you is worth your time. This is on your primary home on Myford. Beautiful. And the balance on the mortgage, right? And so when you're opening and technically confirming these questions, you're opening pockets of information, right? So like a normal question would be like, okay, what's the balance on the mortgage? 340 grand. Got it. Besides the mortgage, is there any other credit that you pay for, right? So let's start off with credit cards. Now this is a perfect in. So now whatever this guy asked for, I'm asking him questions that I could sell on. And so if he says, oh, well, I have about 15 grand in credit card debt. Got it. How much do you send? I send about 500. Okay, do you know if that's the minimum payment or are you guys sending above and beyond? Another strong question which will open up their expose them, right? And sometimes they'll say, oh, well, I don't know, my wife sends it. Now I know who needs to be available at time of the pitch.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So all it is just figuring out kind of like a chess game. So you're just making sure, okay, got it. So, but you're paying attention to it because it's a system, right? It's a constant system that you always follow. and it allows you to pay attention to other things that we're missing because we don't have a system in place. So it's kind of up in the air, right? But any lead, whether it's inbound or outbound, whether it's an internet, whether it's a trigger, whatever kind of lead, the bottom line is like, hey, you know, I got some information. I'm gonna go ahead and send it out to you anyway, right? It's coming. It's on its way. Just how are you gonna turn it down? All right, I'm gonna go and send it out to you. It's gonna go to your Gmail account, blah blah blah. And you know, this is an outbound. Like I'm explaining an outbound call, right? You know, like outbound is what you guys are doing right now mostly. Just outbound calls, trying to outbound originate.
Yeah, we're supposed to only have 3 leads a day, and then
okay.
outbound.
So when you outbound call and you connect with someone, what's your opening pitch? How do you get their attention? What do you say?
Not good.
No worries. This is why we have, you know, and so
Yeah.
we're gonna help you.
Yeah. Well, if it's like an outbound, I've tried to already pull up like Zillow and title, and some information, whatever I have there, and I say I'm trying to making sure that you're in the best loan possible, or if not, we can help you meet your financial goals and needs.
Yep.
Are you looking for a low monthly payment or to tap into some equity in your home? That's just my go-to every time, inbound or out.
Okay.
So then they'll let me know, no, boom, or yes,
Yes.
boom.
Yeah. So when you change it up and you flip it up, right? Like let's use this place for an example.
Yeah.
Right. And I say, and you're the outbound lead, right? Like, hey Kendra, this is Daniel with New American Funding. Hey, just giving you a quick courtesy call. I'm sending out an email that's going to give you insight with regards to your neighborhood. We're doing a huge campaign in Orange County right now, and your property in Myford is actually experiencing results in the local sales. So as a courtesy measure, any contacts we've ever talked to, we like to inform you anytime there's any recent developments in the neighborhood or the market positions you to improve your existing term. So I'm going to go and send that out to you, whether you decide to use it or not. At least you know it's inside your inbox. Okay? And the email is going to be gmailaccount.com or whatever. Okay, perfect. It's on its way. Hey, since I got you on the phone, you know, maybe I could tailor it out for a little bit. You know, based on the estimated value, it looks like right around X amount, and you're just kind of focusing on this amount. And say, have you seen that? Do you agree with that? Yeah, you know, I see that the homes. Okay, cool. So the balance on the mortgage, it looks like the last time you refinanced was X amount, right? Because you have the information, it's Title Pro. And so it looks like you last refinanced in 2015. I could show you how to actually improve that term and possibly pay it off sooner. Is the goal to pay the house off soon or just create savings? And now you have an open, right? And say, well, I'd like to create some savings if I can. Oh, got it. Okay, cool. So let me show you how to do it. What would you use the savings for? So, oh, I would use the savings to pay off credit card debts. I see. So total credit card debt, how much do you think you owe? Rough estimate's fine, about 15 grand. Okay, how much do you guys send? And so I sent 500. Is it you or is your wife send that? So my wife sends it. Now I know who to include, right? And so this guy's probably just giving me rough estimates. But I know how to hook them in. I'm gonna say, okay, cool. Do you know if by chance she sends minimum payment or is she going above and beyond? So no, I think she sends a minimum payment. I see. And so total net, like what's of your total income in March, how much do you think of your March net income will you bring into April? Like what's left for you? I would say probably about 1,000. Got it. Okay, cool. That's more than most. So you're saving about $1,000 per month. You should have at least 12,000 extra per year, right? So just out of curiosity, how much are you averaging in the balance? And they're not going to say 12,000. They're going to say about a couple $100. So I see. Okay, so I got an idea. Let's do this. When I send this out to you, right, it's always about illusion of sending it out.
Yeah.
When I send it out to you, I'm actually going to tailor fit it so that it's actually more applicable and it's going to be worth your time. And so I got a couple ideas where I could show you how to improve your existing savings or your term where you can create savings to pay off this debt. I can only imagine that this is eaten away into your checking and savings, and of course it did. They just told you, right? I can only imagine that you would probably find better use with that extra 500 you send, so I'm going to go and send it this way. Now it's like, okay, cool, this guy's fucking sending me a solution. But all along it's been, hey, I'm gonna send this out to you anyway, right? They couldn't fight it back. And more importantly, why would they fight it back? Because it gives them information that can help improve their term.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas usually we call and we ask. It's like, hey, are you interested in any cash out or
They're
improving
like,
your
"No,
term?"
get
Of
outta
course they're
here.
gonna say no.
Yeah.
You know, because they're just designed that way. And especially if they're not in the mood. But if you call up and you discard them, and you say, hey, just a quick courtesy call. I'm actually sending you out a quick email. It's going to go to your inbox. Whether you decide to use it or not, it's up to you. Just know that you have it in your inbox. Okay, cool. And it almost sounds like you're letting him go. Like, hey, you know what? I got a quick question. Well, I got you on the phone. Now you got your foot in, right? and say,
Yeah.
hey, let me go ahead and make it a little bit more tailored, custom fit for you. You know, it looks like the last time you refinanced was 2015. I'm sure your balance isn't 114 anymore, right? You paid it down a little bit. What's the total balance? Got it. Any other debt? Now you got to foot in to other debt. See, it's like you're just kind of stampeding in with the information, but they believe it's to help them have it a little bit more custom fit.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're not asking them a question, you know?
Right, like, can I please talk to you about your business? Wow, yeah, totally.
So try that out.
Yeah.
You know, definitely try it out and drive. They don't know your level. They don't know your level of experience. They don't know your title. They don't know you, right? So change that. Take advantage of it. Make sense?
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
I need a couple minutes to soak in my head what all you just said. It was really cool. Everything that you do there, I admit I don't. Like, I'm asking for the asking for the business, asking if I could do this, asking, and then, exactly. No. So then it gives them a way to say no, get off the phone.
Because if you think about it, like a doctor, an attorney, they don't ask you anything, right? Like law enforcement, anything authority never asks you anything.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And so the only people that people trust are those of authority. And so if we have a little bit more authority, they're naturally going to trust us. Like, okay, well, this fucker's already driving. All right, well, let me sit back and enjoy the ride, you know? It's like, all right, well, where are we going? So,
wow.
You know, when you think about it that way, and because a lot of people will follow, but they just need someone to follow. And so if you are the person that they follow, you can control what they view, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a lot of deep thought, a lot of deep information,
like,
right?
I have to soak this in right now. Yeah.
No worries. It'll
That's
be
really
posted,
cool.
so you can always revisit. Yeah, you always be revisit the channel. I've done a couple one-on-one sessions, so you know their questions and their objections that they run into, you may not run into right now, but you will. And when that time comes, you have it for reference.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So figure out more of the kind of the philosophy and the thesis behind it. Okay. You know, I don't know if you listen to like the Bluetooth on the way in, but put yourself in the right frame of mind. Okay. If you ever have any issues on a specific objection, listen to it. Just, you know, it's in Bluetooth, so you're not watching. You don't necessarily need to watch it, right? But you listen to it just to understand kind of the understanding of how to deliver it, and you know, whether you revisit this video or another video or not, it's always there.
Thank you,
cool.
Daniel.
Yeah, of course.